Man, I want to share with you perhaps the most erotic story ever. Imagine a beautiful creature, something that you've never seen before, but beautiful and powerful, sensual in every way, shimmering in light. As you view this creature, you lean forward with kind of an allure, and you've done this before, probably on a screen, looking just to capture it, to take a look at it, to almost possess it, because the allure of this creature draws you in. The creature starts to dance, to spread vibrancy, light, beauty everywhere it goes, and it literally takes your breath away. Bringing together beautiful color, unimaginable beauty, splendid curves, and it is so pleasing to the eyes and to the smell, and all of it just enraptures you, and you're like just breathless as you see it. You got that in mind? Do you have a creature like that? Picture it for a second, just the most beautiful creature you could ever imagine. Imagine the beginning of all that we know and all that we see around us. All of creation with all of its beauty and its color and its majesty. Everything we see from steep pitches of mountains to beautiful curves of ocean waves. All the color and texture and smell. Imagine all of that bursting forth in creation that theologians call out of nothing, ex nihilo. Out of nothing in Latin, ex nihilo. Imagine this creature is this creature moving about, creating light and the earth and all of these things. Is this creature sexual in any way? You might be like, dude, that's weird, man. Come on. Is this creature sexual? What's your problem, right? No, seriously, is this creature sexual in any way? My answer to that would be yes. Absolutely, this creature is sexual in every way. This is called eros. It's one of the words that the ancient Greeks used for love. Erotic love. It's sexual love. It's sensual love. It's erotic love. As the Greeks described creation of the world, eros entered the picture in a formlessness and emptiness and nothingness and that existed prior to eros showing up. And out of nothing, eros enters this formless emptiness and starts to create mountains that arose, and oceans that arose, and beautiful flowers that arose, and the beautiful form of every living creature, and the beautiful form of the man and of the woman. Eros is the creative spark of nature. Looking back at the origins of life, this beautiful creature that I'm describing is God. Looking back, you take a look at even the Genesis account of creation. Was there order to it? Yes. Was there creative design or intelligent design? Absolutely. Was there power? Absolutely. Was it created out of nothing? Ex nihilo. Yes, absolutely. It had to be. Were things created, and was the creator outside of time and space? Yes, I believe so as well. Was this creature sexual? Kind of a weird question you've probably never thought about before as you've taken a look at the beginnings of life and the origins of life. Yes, had to be at its core. The framework that we go about talking about things on the next stage really centers around four foundational pillars of your life. And we've talked about them a lot. Your purpose, your power, your perspective, and your passion. We were created as image bearers of God with those four things. One of the things on this podcast that we want to talk about today is a perspective piece, a worldview piece, if you want to talk about it that way. Your worldview is the way that you process and view life around you, and it is the way that you literally allow information to enter your mind, how you process it, your belief system, and how you view your world around you. The framework that I use on this podcast is a Christian worldview, unapologetic about that. It is inclusive of all truth, and part of that truth is your sexuality. Genesis' account of creation, both in the Jewish and the Christian traditions, talk about those P's, the purpose, power, passion, perspective, and one more P that we're talking about today, pleasure. It includes the beautiful form of women, of sexual arousal, the power of the orgasm, all that God created and said it is very good. In fact, men, did you know that a small little piece of a woman's body called the clitoris contains 10,281 nerve endings? It is a nerve powerhouse. The end of the men's penis contains about half of those. So, guys, just double your experience. That's what God created, and it's put in the woman's anatomy in order to do one thing: to give pleasure. Purely for pleasure. Purely for pleasure. And then he gave the man and the woman, upon completing creation, one command: be fruitful and multiply. So men, sex was God's idea, and part of it was pleasure. It was part of his plan. And as the beauty of his stepping into time and space and creating had to be the most beautiful creature of all. Jay Stringer, in his book Unwanted, which we're going to draw from a lot in this series, as we said on our last episode, he says this. Let me just read this to you. Contrary to what we often conclude at the height of our sexual brokenness, our sexuality is not an impediment to knowing God. Sex shows us just how much he is committed to giving us beauty and pleasure. Sex, if we allow it, will awaken our deepest reservoirs of our soul for pleasure and connection. There will be times we experience the madness of our sexual desire, but there are also times when we allow the passion of sex to lead us to imagination of how God desires to pursue all aspects of our lives. Sex is one of the most important means through which we will discover the heart of God. Stringer says on page 167 of his book Unwanted, through eros, God bridges the beauty of bodily pleasure and the awe of heaven. Men, welcome to the next stage. Quite the introduction, wasn't it? Welcome to episode 14, and I'm excited that you have joined us. This podcast is built to help you succeed in the most important areas of life, to help you summit life's climb. The series that we're in is called Freedom from Porn, and this series, I am so excited, not just to do a topic that has some edge to it, but I believe that if you lean into this, if you share this, men, with your sons, to help them get their mind around the way that God created them and the way that they can live out their lives, gosh, that it will make better men who will have the ability to have one of the most foundational pillars of their life on stable ground. In this episode, we're going to take a look at a theological understanding of sexuality. Kind of a heavy topic. More of a, like I said, a perspective issue. taking a look at your mental framework, your theological understanding of sexuality. All of you have it. Either you just understand that, hey, man, there is no God. It's kind of a, just something that's there, and you just kind of run it. Well, that is a view of the theology of sexuality. If you think it's just a fluke, if you think there is no God and you just kind of run the way you want to run, okay, that is your view. I want to help you with your world view of sex. Probably never even thought about it, right? We're drawing heavily, as I said, from Jay Stringer's book, Unwanted, and crediting him for a lot of things throughout this series. And I want to recap real quick. The episode that we did previously, we talked about the big idea, really, of that series, of thinking that we have found an avenue of newfound freedom. Millions of men have put themselves in self-inflicted slavery. Odds are you are one of them, and it is my mission to help you get free. We use the illustration of Pinocchio. If you go back and listen to episode 13, remember, I want to be a real boy. That is actually pretty good, Mike. What do you think? I think it's a pretty good Pinocchio. But he wanted to be a real boy, and he ended up getting caught up with these real boys and going to the island of the Pleasure Island, where he found himself not experiencing pleasure, but he was actually enslaved. He went there to get one thing, and he was caught up and thrown into slavery. And so many of us currently listening to this are enslaved by something that we know is good. It's been put there for good, and yet it's entrapped us. Go back and listen to that as we launch out this series. But this episode, we're looking at the framework of how we approach our sexuality. The idea I want to frame this episode on is simple. It's this. It's also a quote from Jay Stringer's book. He ought to give me, some royalties for selling this book to, all million of our listeners here. But it's this idea. The author of this sexual pleasure is the most wildly sexual being we could ever search for. In this way, eroticism reveals that our cultural sexual desires are not too strong, but they are too weak. Let me repeat that. The author, capital A, God, the author of our sexual pleasure, is the most wildly sexual being we could ever search for. And in this way, eroticism in our culture reveals that our cultural desires are not too strong, but they're too weak. Stringer grabs a hold of one of C.S. Lewis's ideas of how we settle for playing with mud pies at the beach when an incredible holiday is at our disposal. We settle for far too less when it comes to our sexuality as well. Let's talk about you. What you aspire to as a man. You were created to be a fully alive sexual being. Sex, unlike some of the counterfeits that we've come to grab onto, counterfeit views of God, is not a prudish thing. God is not anti-sex. God is not anti-pleasure. In fact, God is full of pleasure. He's the inventor of it. He gives it to us as a reflection of what His joy and pleasure is like. And you were made with sexuality as an expression of being created fully in the image of God, full of passion and pleasure of God. Picture yourself as this. Again, kind of going back to that beautiful creator you thought about at the beginning, this beautiful creature who created the planet we live on, all of creation around us. Picture a painting of a masterpiece painting. Picture a Van Gogh. His painting Sunflowers, for example, which is displayed in London's National Gallery. Picture this painting, and you go to the gallery to view it, and you take a look at it, and with it you take a look at other masterpieces that are around. Imagine your sexuality as a masterpiece painting. Your sexuality is like a painting. It's inspired art. It's a reflection of the artist's intent. It's unique. It's full of color, of vibrance. It's got some maybe quirkiness to it. It's got beautiful display and celebration and all of that. But like the erotic creator we spoke about earlier in this episode, the erotic creator created you with your sexuality as an expression of who he is. That part of you is not a mistake. It's a masterpiece. However, there's a problem. I want you to listen to this. Just like Van Gogh created this masterpiece painting, sunflowers. Google it, look it up. Beautiful painting. Imagine this happening. An activist, actually a vandal and a criminal, from the Just Stop Oil movement, entered London's National Gallery and splattered cans of tomato soup all over Van Gogh's sunflowers at the London's National Galleries, while a pair of activists from this Just Stop Oil movement explained, what is your life worth? Art or life? What is worth more, art or life? One of the protesters, Phoebe Plummer, 21 years old. Visitors gasped as somebody held a camera and they threw tomato soup all over the painting. Are you not concerned about protecting this painting? But why would you not be concerned about protecting our planet and our people? Come on, Phoebe, get a life. But this beautiful painting, this, brat, I'll call her, walks in and starts trashing this thing while one of her friends films it and they put it on to make this big oil movement statement. Should have been jailed. Not activism, instead vandalism, okay? Let's just call it what it is. Just my opinion. But the problem with many of us that we face is we connect this idea of trashing this masterpiece to our lives is that many of us have trashed our sexuality as well. Recall the story that we opened with. This beautiful creature walks in and starts to shape and form everything. Starts to shape and form even you. And steps back and says, this is my masterpiece. This is somebody who's created in my image. But as we talked about last time, there is a destroyer who comes in. There is an activist, a vandal, worse yet, a destroyer who hates the beautiful creator. Cannot get to the beautiful creator, God, so instead takes aim at you, his masterpiece, and starts to tear away and destroy the fabric of who you are. Starts to trash you and put tomato juice, tomato paste, tomato soup all over you. Starts to do worse and carve deep into your soul and lead you even into addictive tendencies that you take a look at your sexuality and you're like, this is evil, this is bad, how can I get out of this? And you're trapped in it like Pinocchio. Are you with me? Man, here's the thing to understand. Like Lewis said, badness is just spoiled goodness. Badness is just spoiled goodness. The things that we see in our lives that are evil, that are dark, that are hurt, that go after other things in order to meet our needs, that we look at ourselves years after consuming pornography at a certain level, or of misusing and abusing women, or engaging in sex trafficking, whatever it is that we do that tears away this fabric of us. Men, the thing we need to know is that God created it for good. And we have allowed it to be vandalized. We've allowed this masterpiece to be vandalized. For you, the problem, God created you to experience eros. Remember, the author of this pleasure is the most wildly sexual being we could ever search for. In this way, eroticism reveals that our cultural sexual desires are not too strong, but are too weak. The destroyer that we talked about in our last episode, John 10:10, referring to Satan, who I believe is real. John 10:10 says that the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. But I've come that you might have life and you might have it to the fullest. Evil seduces us away from personal growth and into an escape that will never paradoxically inject us with greater shame. Evil seduces us away from personal growth and into an escape that will paradoxically inject us with even greater shame. Evil says, I want to come and take that which God created for good, and I want to pull it away, and I want to allure you into seeking your needs to be met here, and yet, in fact, it's going to heap on further shame. The American Music Awards, perhaps you saw it in 2024, earlier this year when we were recording, had Sam Smith and Kim Petras record the stage production of this song, Unholy. I don't know if you saw it. It was one of the most evil displays I think I've ever seen. Somebody told me about it, and I don't watch those shows normally. I'm like, it's mostly just trash. And this, sure enough, was that. I watched it later. But Sam Smith and the transgendered Kim Petras, I don't know how she pronounces it, whatever, how they pronounce it. But the story is a man who leaves his family and goes to the Body Shop. And the Body Shop actually is a strip club in L.A. And this man begins to practice his work out his desires. He leaves his wife, he cheats on her, and he's with this woman who he offers to buy her a lot of things. And it just begins to walk down this dark, dark, dark path. And if you see the video of this, you just get a sense of the evil that's there. And way to go, if that's what they were trying to capture, the evil that was there, it just grabs it and holds it in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before. But listen to this, as Sam Smith talks about this video, he tells Billboard magazine, I think joy for me and a lot of queer people is quite a dangerous place. I guess he's non-binary, non-singular even. Anyway, I think joy for me and a lot of queer people is quite a dangerous place. We're all masters of pain. And I think it's courageous to step into the queer joy of it all. It's the most powerful piece of music I've ever been part of. It was like an exorcism. Wow. Wow. Instead of standing back in judgment of Sam Smith or of Kim Petras, I did feel compassion for them. But guess what? I also looked in the mirror and I said, my goodness, what is going on in my life? What have I subjected myself to? What kind of pain have I subjected myself to in this arena? And for you, man, what kind of things have you subjected yourself to in the area of pornography or unwanted sexual tendencies in general? They always lead, as Smith says, to a darker place. It's the law of diminishing return, where if you're into porn, you need more porn. If you're into hookups, you need more hookups. If you're into soliciting a prostitute, you need more prostitutes. If you're into child porn, you need more child porn. And eventually you're at a place where you're like, my God, how did I get here? And that's where the enemy proves himself to steal and kill and destroy. Men, do you see what's at stake here? The very good part of you, the very good part of you, the eros part of you was created as a masterpiece. And yet it has many times been shaped in a way that is so bent it and twisted it and marred it. It's like the Van Gogh masterpiece that's been vandalized, and worse yet, we try solutions to clean that up, right? One of them being what I call lust management. Lust management is basically just white-knuckling this issue and saying, I can fix it if I try hard enough, which leads to more failure and leads to more guilt. What's at stake here is coming to the end of lust management and saying, you know what, there's got to be something else. Perhaps you even listen to that are like, you know what, I've got an accountability group. Accountability, a good thing. Except for the fact that it leads to a lot of voyeurism. You just have a lot of other men looking into your life. And how about this? It leads to not taking responsibility. In those kind of groups, I have been that guy in those groups, explaining what's going on, bleeding, like pouring out my heart. And I leave not with taking more responsibility for my life, but of shifting responsibility onto other men. The compassionate ones carry it. What about being around a group of men who would support you from underneath? Support you in what you want to do. The type of accountability that would just say, you know what, can I ask some questions? Are you taking responsibility for your life? What are you doing? That type of. The other thing of what's at stake is not just, those two things, but acquiescing. Just going, you know what, maybe this is as good as it gets for me. Maybe this is as good as it gets. And you just throw in the towel. And I know men who have lost their families, who have lost their wives, who have gone to jail because they've acquiesced. That's what's at stake, men. Your life. As you have the opportunity to live out the masterpiece, get that in your mind, the masterpiece that God has created in you, of a God who is not a prude, but who comes to you and says, I want to bless you with pleasure. In fact, I've given you nerve endings in a very strategic part of your body to give you pleasure. And I've given her twice as many. Holy cow. What an amazing gift intended for one thing. Pleasure. So I want to leave you with some what if questions today. Men, what if there was someone who didn't condemn you, but who wanted to help restore you? What if there was someone who didn't want to condemn you where you were at, but wanted to restore you? As I've done some research on art that has been vandalized over the years, the conservators of art do an amazing thing. They take art that's been vandalized by young Phoebe Plummer and her friends from the Stop Oil movement, and they take it and they lay it out. And guess what they do? They start to clean it. They start to take the very small segments of the painting that have been destroyed and renew the color. They start to touch it up. They start to take the old and allow it to come out. They restore it. They don't throw it away. And so what if there was someone who could come along beside of you and help restore you? What if there was someone around you who could help say, you know what? And this is kind of telegraphing where we're heading with this series. What if the reasons that you are into porn and you're drawn to porn, what if they too are a part of your story? And what if understanding those was a way to help set you free, not to condemn you, but to help set you free? What if they painted a roadmap to freedom? And that by walking down that path, you would have the opportunity to not be a prisoner, a slave, but to be free. But what if all of this could lead you to freedom from porn? See, the reality is that your mind, the place that you put God, is really important. Not as somebody who condemns you, not as somebody who judges you, but someone who is the ultimate sexual being. And at the same time, the place where you put evil and what it does to you as a thief who kills and steals and destroys. That is important, equally as important. So keep those two things in front of you as you take a look at your perspective of your own sexuality. We need an understanding of God. An understanding of God, of who He is. Think about how you perceive God. That He doesn't hate you. He cares about you. He created you. He created order out of chaos, and He will continue to create order out of your chaos. And He wants to redeem your story and fix its brokenness, restore its brokenness. Men, the author of this pleasure is the most wildly sexual being you could ever search for. When you are leaning into a screen, when you're leaning into the picture on your phone and trying to behold it, beyond trying to possess it even, God is the most wildly sexual creature you could ever search for. And in this way, our cultural sexual desires are revealed, that they're not too strong, but they are far too weak. Men, the call to action I want to leave you with today is this. I know that there are millions upon millions upon millions of men who have trashed the painting of their lives. Intentionally. They've gone after it. They've intentionally trashed their lives. And I want to invite you into a community of men who are working this stuff out in their lives. I'm getting certified in Stringer's program, Unwanted, to be able to coach men around this issue. And I want you to email me right now. Grab your phone. The address is thenextstage@sherpa5280.com. And I want you to just put in the subject line, Sherpa Freedom Groups. Sherpa Freedom Groups. You don't need to put porn in the subject line at all. Please don't. You might get caught on something, and who knows, whatever. But just put the term in the subject line, Sherpa Freedom Groups. I will contact you, and we will get you plugged into one of our groups that are helping men move into freedom. To move where you can move into your world with a sense of renewed place in life, with a sense of renewed pleasure in life. That's what I want to help you with. Email me today. Just shoot me an email, and we will get you plugged into one of our groups. The gold nugget I want to leave you with today is John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. Jesus says this, have come that you might have life and you might have it to the fullest. There is hope, man. It's not in just white knuckling it. It's not in somebody throwing shame on you. It's not in you just kind of acquiescing and going, well, whatever. I guess this is who I am. I'm a pervert. Okay, fine. So is everybody else. And you kind of go down the cultural drain. Instead, there is hope. And I want to help you find it. That's what the next stage is for. Are you in? Email me today. The next stage at Sherpa5280.com. Man, thank you for joining us on this episode. I hope this has been helpful. This is just for you to help you in your journey in life. The next stage is your next stage in your development, your growth, to help you summit life's climb. If this episode has meant something to you, number one, shoot me an email. Give me your feedback. Number two, share it with a friend. Shoot a buddy. Like, man, are you kidding me? This guy's talking about this stuff. This is awesome. Send that to him. Number three, like it, forward it. We would love to have your help just to spread the word about what we're doing. Men, go for it in your worlds today. And we will see you on the next episode of The Next Stage as we jump into understanding porn's addictive cycle. You're not going to want to miss it. We will see you for episode 15. Go for it today in your world, men, and we will talk to you soon.